was excited when NZXT told me there was going to be a special edition case for Starfield. Wherever you sit on the game, the one thing that was universally liked about Bethesda's Starfield was the aesthetics and, to be honest, how they translated so very well to tech.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
So when I had a chance to put a build inside of the Starfield-themed NZXT H5 Flow and also give it away, which I already did, so don't get your hopes up, well, I threw on my thruster pack and jumped at the chance. Oh, and the best part is that the awesome team over at AMD hooked me up with an additional Starfield-themed kit with the Special Edition 7900 XTX and 7800 X3D to ensure that we made this build absolutely perfect. Speaking of perfect, what would be perfect is that if you also slap that subscribe button, whip that like button, and ring that notification bell so that when we do other custom builds like this or giveaways, that you don't miss those videos or those chances to win awesome PCs. Oh, and if you just want to see like the whole build from beginning to end, you can check out the full live stream right here. 72,000 people and growing have watched the stream, and it will show you just all the nuances and live benchmarking of the build. But enough distractions, let's build. This is the Starfield Special Edition H5 Flow. Here's the front. And then we also have on the back, so you also have like the Starfield. It looks like almost like a package right there, which is actually pretty cool. And then at the very, very front at the bottom, it actually does say Starfield down there as well. Very, very nice case. Now, what are we putting inside of this case? Well, I think the coup de grace, like when I talked to NZXT about this, I was like, you know what? We need to call some favors, guys. We need to call in some favors, and we need to get one of these bad boys, which I've given away a number of these on my channel already, but if you're gonna do a special edition Starfield build, you gotta do it with the special edition Starfield stuff. So we're gonna be putting in the good stuff right here, which includes the Starfield Special Edition Radeon 7900 XTX, and then also the Starfield Special Edition Ryzen 7 7800 X3D. So in here, we have that beautiful Starfield Special Edition 7900 XTX. Let's get some close-ups here so you guys can see this a little bit better. So looking even here at the close-ups, there we go right there. You can see just how stunning the whole thing essentially looks. Very, very clean looking GPU. And then we also have on the other side, this thing is just so pretty. So it's got all of those extra bits. Even on the side here, they have the colors and everything, right? So beautiful GPU. We also have this right here. This is the Special Edition Ryzen 7 7800 X3D, which has the Starfield theming as well. There's nothing different about the CPU, obviously, because the CPU, but again, it has it all the way through here, and then has like a ship bit there, and then of course the constellation stripes all the way throughout as well. So really, really cool, and it will look, again, power, all that sort of stuff will be the same, but everything else will be, slightly different in terms of just the look. But the other thing too is that the only thing that's really kind of different about this is the box. So let's go through what else we're putting inside of this build, because it's not just about the special edition parts. So inside of this PC, we're going to be putting a Ryzen 7 7800 X3D. We're going to be using the NZXT N7 B650E motherboard. For the graphics card, we're using that Starfield Edition Special Radeon RX 7900 XTX. For the SSD, we have 3 terabytes of storage, 1 terabyte NVMe for OS, and then we have a 2 terabyte game drive. For the RAM, we're going to use 32 gigs of Kingston Fury RAM at 6,000 megatransfer. We're going to be using that Special Edition NZXT H5 Flow Starfield case. Cooler, we're using the NZXT Kraken Elite 280mm AIO in white. And then finally, we have the NZXT C850. Oh, actually, sorry, it's the C1200. So we're actually putting something a little bit more powerful in there from a PSU standpoint. It should be a very, very beastly build, and should look really, really good by the time we're all said and done. So it's and the other two is we are going to, for sure, be vertically mounting the GPU as well. So we do have the white vertical mount GPU kit, so you will get to see the build and see the GPU on its side. Love this Mobo, guys. A-I-A-I-O. A-I-A-I-O. Okay, so we're gonna take this out. Let's grab our case. Special edition Starfield H5 Flow. Looking nice and clean. So we'll start with taking the panels off. It's shining. Here's Johnny. Then I can pull this through. Using this Mobo specifically. All right, so next up, let's grab our AIO, get it built. We're using the Kraken 280 Elite. Okay, so here's our little controller. We'll take care of that here in a minute. Got our two 140 millimeter fans, all the cables, as they like to say. Rid of the stuff I don't need. Don't need that. The one reason somebody says, Robey, why do you replace the thermal paste? This is why. On the NZXTs, they only put, it doesn't cover the entire IHS, and both on Intel and AMD you do, so I will remove this and put my own thermal paste on because they don't cover the entire top. There is the build. So let's go ahead and put in the vertical GPU bracket now. Okay, let's grab our PSU. Okay, back is done, build is done. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh snap, I see lights. It's alive. First, I want to talk about the CPU, which in this case was a Ryzen 7 7800X3D. Pretty much one of the best gaming CPUs on the market because of that beautiful 3D V-cache that games love to use. Paired with its AMD brethren, we use the AMD Radeon RX 7900 XTX Starfield Special Edition GPU, which was part of that exclusive kit that AMD gave away around QuakeCon of last year, which, by the way, if you want to see how we gave away like $75,000 in hardware like those kits from AMD, you should check out that video right here. Okay, now for the rest of the build, what we did is we put all of the best parts that fit well with the theme. So we used the NZXT N7B650E in white for the motherboard. We used beautiful white Kingston Fury Renegade 6000 megatransfer for RAM, along with 3 terabytes of Kingston Fury NVMe storage. We also cooled the 7800X3D with the NZXT Kraken Elite 280mm AIO in white, which was paired with those beautiful F120 RGB core fans. And finally, we powered it all with an NZXT C850 PSU. A lot of NZXT in this build, but no surprise, they make a lot of parts. Now, as you can see from the B-roll we've been showing off during the parts section, I think this whole thing came together better than many of the very interesting custom ships that people have actually built in Starfield. Now, Robey, you used the word flow in the NZXT H5 Flow, so how is the airflow in the case? Great question, random disembodied voice in my head. Jumping over to the airflow section of our build, you can see that the system is running Cinebench, and that airflow is actually being drawn in through the fans in the front, as well as the bottom GPU feeder fan. It's then pulling air through the GPU, through the radiator, and it's exhausted via the 2 rear exhaust fans at the top and the rear of the case. It looks like it's going to work like a finely tuned laser rifle, and it's best to see how that's represented in temps. So let's see if the airflow design also meets good thermal performance. Starting with CPU, when under load, the CPU is sitting at a nice and frosty 37 degrees Celsius, which is, I want to be clear, that's frosty for a CPU. Kind of like how a red giant is frosty for a sun. It will still burn the crap out of you if you touch it, but it's still a nice temp for a CPU, okay? I just want to make that clear. Some people are like, can I just like go get an ice bath on my CPU? No, it'd burn your bottom. Okay, so what about under load? Well, under load, we're looking at a nice and moderate 80 degrees when pulling an average of about 74 watts. Not bad at all. And for GPU at idle, we were a bit colder at 34 degrees and popping all the way up to 69 when we were under load. So just standing back and observing, it looks like airflow, as it's set up right now, worked wonderfully and the temperatures were good for both CPU and GPU. Now, before I jump into gaming performance, I usually talk about the build experience here. However, given this is a pretty well-known case that's been out for a while, if you're really curious about the ins and the outs of the H5 Flow, you can check out our full case review, which is right here, that walks you through all the nuances and how it compares with other cases. And you can check that out just by following that link that we showed a little bit earlier. Now, with all that out of the way, you're probably wondering, how did the Starfield PC actually do in running games like, you know, Starfield? That seems like a great question, you know what I mean? So let's kick it off with just kidding, we're gonna kick it off with Starfield. What we did is we tested it at raw, no upscaling, with all the bells and whistles, also known as max setting, at 1440p, just to see what this Starfield rig could do with Starfield. In space, we were looking at about 160 plus FPS, and we did some combat and exploring on planets. We were looking at a nice and solid-ish 100 frames per second. So yeah, it's good at Starfield, but Robey, can I only play Starfield on this PC, or can I play other games? Well, it'll be a shame, it might cry, but let's tell you about some other ones. So let's kick it off with Cyberpunk 2077 at 1440p with ray tracing in Ultra and FSR set to auto. We hit 83.79 FPS. Sounds like a nice solid way to spend some time in Night City using a Starfield PC. Next up, we have Forza Horizon 5 again at 1440p with graphics set to extreme, FSR set to auto, and frame generation on. We were looking at 193 frames per second. For Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, again, 1440p, extreme graphics, and for the first time, testing with fluid motion frames, we got 442 frames per second. That is at extreme, guys. That is some great freaking like campaign action, and can we just say holy moly. Now for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 1440p with the highest graphical preset using XeSS, we're looking at 236 frames per second when rating those tombs. And finally, rounding out our single player, we have Tiny Tina's Wonderland with graphics set to badass and FSR 2.0 set to balanced. We saw 224 frames per second. For MP titles, we kick it off with Apex Legends with graphics maximized for competitive gameplay. We saw 393 FPS at 1440p. And for Call of Duty, this is MP time. Again, optimal MP settings to maximize FPS at 1440p. We saw 395 frames per second. And finally, we got Fortnite. Again, graphics set for competitive gameplay. To maximize frame rates, we got a whopping 477. I mean, it's like COD's catching up with Fortnite there. So there you have it. We got build, parts, breakdown, airflow, thermals, and all the information I know you could hope to want when you're looking at a build like this. But if we missed something, or if you feel like there's just something that you loved about the build, or maybe something you didn't love about the build, you can tell us down in the comments below. Now, while you're down there, make sure you slap that subscribe button, hit that like button, or whip it, and ring that notification bell so you get a notification each and different time we post videos like this right here on Robeytech. Also, if you have questions or you want to discuss a build or maybe have a build made or talk about all that stuff, head over to our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech, where there's also other like-minded tech enthusiasts like you. And maybe, who knows, you'll make a friend. Also, you can feel free to follow me at Robeytech absolutely everywhere. Thank you so much. That's it for me. Enjoy the space and the openness of Starfield, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.